let's take a peek at our structures project, and that's in the structures folder of the project folder, and then structures. You can work with structures similar to how you can work with classes. Everything is great working with structures. We know they're a value type, not a reference type. This means that they are going to be copied when we pass them into our method, when we use them as parameters, and they make for great ways to pass data around. Because what you're doing is you're creating a user-defined type for the most part. And this is a great way to work. It's borrowed from C, and in the old C way of doing things, you would always capitalize everything to make that your structure. And this can work with many different ways of collecting data into one little object here, and then you can manipulate it as you'd like. Structures in C# are great because you can have multiple constructors for your structures. You can add as many members as you want, as many methods, or even fields as you want to. As you can see here, we just have some public data that are strings for first name, middle name, last name, title, social security number, and then a short for an ID. And you can see that you can use the capital letter of the old C style if you'd like. If you want, you can put STRT for your prefix, or ST. Shorts and strings take up that S, so it makes things a little bit more difficult to work with that. And really depends on your flavor, really. But you can see that we're going to work with first name, middle name, last name, title, social security number, and ID. And this is going to match within employee 2 as well. So within our class, because you see we use struct instead of class, here we use class to denote our class. This is how we're going to get things started. We're going to just create a structure here of our employee. If you just start typing and type it out, you get that regular dot notation, but the benefit of working with that is that after you declare something, you can start to use it. E dot, and now you get everything here, everything listed. You can just type in, you don't even have to use the uppercase if you want to. It automatically change that to the uppercase. Very, very nice, and then you can give your values as you see here for whatever ones are associated with this particular structure. And note that there are additional things as well that you can work with, like your toString, and you can override things as you need to. So we'll just leave this data in there for now. So you see, it can hold data. It can hold employee information, for example. It can hold information just like you can create a class, but now you're creating a structure that's a value type. And it can be quite helpful to work with your value types. You have to get into the flow of what you're actually developing, or maybe you're working with other programmers, and then a structure might be more something that you have to start to work with, and then you get a little bit confused about it, and you say, okay, well, why am I using this structure? But you can just get to work and get started on it and understand how it works. We'll also look at how to add methods and constructors to our structures as well. So now, continuing though, boxing and unboxing is another nice thing you can do with these user-defined types, because that's what these are, user-defined types for our user-defined needs. So when you want to box something, and that means you want to take a value type and convert it to a reference type, it may be necessary to do that with your structures because you want to use them as a reference type, and that would make them closer and closer to classes. Well, what you do is you do your normal equals new, and then you can type in what your type is, the type name with open and close paren. That is establishing another variable here of that type. Then we create a regular object. We'll call it box because this is going to be the boxed form of that. And then we can just assign it to E2, and now we have a reference object. It's reference. Now it's going to be managed by the .NET universe, and it's going to be garbage collected as opposed to just on the stack. So we'll create a third one, and then we're going to cast it back to our employee structure, and that's going to give us a value type back again. No problems. So we're all set. This is the process of working from a class here to use our structures, fill it with data, and then we can box and unbox as we need to.